Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a sloppy sports and entertainment talk show about the New York Giants, the New York Mets, movies, TV, comedy, and a whole lot more. It's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the Real Cinch Neal Lynch. I'm a plump and furry Irish-Italian-American who graduated from a Catholic high school but isn't Catholic, and went to a college known for producing doctors and lacrosse players, and then became neither. So who am I? What am I now? I'm a blogger, podcaster, writer, editor, video optimizer, content strategist, and very, very failed stand-up comedian. Super failed there. You can leave a voicemail. Did you know? DYK. It's 862-BIT-1986. That's 862-BIT-1986 for Giants and Mets fans. That should be a very easy last four digits to remember. You can subscribe to me on YouTube. You can do a search for Real Cinch, RealCinch, or Giant Mess. Visit my blog at neallynch.com. That's NEALLYNCH. Or hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/giantmess. I'm also Real Cinch on Twitter and the gram, as they say. Subscribe to me on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So what's up for this week's episode? For today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the comic book superhero flick Bloodshot, starring Vin Diesel. We'll also be reviewing the sci-fi movie called Archive, starring Theo James. Women probably know who he is because he's hot. Guys probably don't know him. We'll also talk about the first week of Mets baseball. It's in the books. We'll recap the start of the season. Look forward to what's ahead. Give my knee-jerk assessment to what's going on. And then we'll finish up with the Giants. Aldrick Rosas, he gone. DeAndre Baker on the exempt list. Nate Solder has opted out of the 2020 season due to COVID. And there are some more PFF rankings that you're probably not going to like as a Giants fan. But this week we'll be doing the secondary, running backs, and quarterbacks. So let's get started, y'all. Not a whole lot going on in the life department. We've been eating a lot of fast food lately, and that has been due to the fact that I am a deadbeat dad and a poor excuse for a husband. And my wife has been burning that midnight oil, working hard for that money, working hard for it, honey, really, if you think about it, and working late nights. I don't think she sleeps with me anymore. I think she sleeps down here because she doesn't want to disturb my slumber. God bless her. But yeah, she's working real hard. And that means that things start to fall to shit because I don't pick up the slack like I should. So a lot of fast food, Taco Bell, McDonald's tonight. Taco Bell is interesting. I got so much food and it was $20. It was just like, it was 6 things for $20. Cheese quesadilla, chalupa, cheesy gordita crunch, Crunchwrap Supreme, beefy 5-layer burrito. Was that it? And a steak quesarito. 6 goddamn things for $20. And you wonder why Taco Bell is so damn popular. I mean, I probably was I assume, for some reason in my head, I think it's healthier than like McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's or any of the other fast foods, because it's like, back at the it's a tortilla. I don't see bread. I see a tortilla. It's totally different. It's healthier. And we all know like the beef or the meat that they use is like grade D, which I kind of messed up on the order there. I didn't specify chicken and steak, which is what you should probably be doing when hitting up Taco Bell, because it's like grade D meat. Mostly sawdust, but that sawdust is good. And we did get to go out once for dinner. We went to this place down the street that we've been to a couple times now, and this was a shit show, complete nightmare. Our daughter, we took her to the pool on Saturday for a while. She, of course, fell asleep. We initially went so my wife's car has gone apeshit. It just haywire. It just stopped working. Like I had to, drive my daughter to daycare, and I started up the car, put in reverse. All is good. All is well in the world. My daughter is screaming her face off. I carried her out of the house by her ankle upside down, and she was screaming bloody murder. So it's like, for those who don't know me in the complex in the neighborhood, probably think, oh, kidnapping in progress. Call the fuzz. But yeah. So as she's screaming her tiny little head off, I'm put the car in reverse and I put it into drive D, and I apply pressure on the accelerator, the gas pedal, if you will. And I just hear, and I'm like, okay, maybe it didn't register that I would like to drive now forward. And so I kind of put it in park, and then I put it back in a drive, and I apply the pressure on the gas, and we're not going anywhere. I mean, people thought we were like getting ready to race, only there's no one to race. It's a race against time, basically. So, it's frustrating. And of course, she's losing it in the back seat, in the child seat. And I'm just like going through the gears, very rapid fire, as if that will help free up whatever is prohibiting me from driving forward. So we dealt with that for like a week or so, maybe more. And it was tough because it was like every time we slow down at a stoplight or stop sign, and then that's fine. But then you're stopped, and the car just kind of lurches. It's like, oh. It's like a cat trying to cough up a hairball or something like that. It's just like the car wants to go. And you're like, all right, car, settle down. We'll be going in like a hot minute. And then, light turns green. You press the gas and it doesn't go anywhere. And you're like, come on, car. You're the one that wanted to go forward. You're not going forward now. Now's your chance. Now you're not going. It was fucking with me. It's fucking with us. So we basically would have to put on our hazards whenever we came to a stoplight, because we were like, letting everyone around us know, hey, this is not a normal situation we got going on here. And if you think that we're not accelerating quickly off the line, check the hazards. Something is off. Something is wrong. People still didn't get it, though. They were just like slowly like create distance between us and them, as if the car is going to blow up. I mean, the thought ran through my head. Like, is this the end of days? Like, is this how it all ends for us? We're just in a car happily singing along to Taylor Swift's new album, and then kabloomy, kapow, that's it. Whew. Got that Final Destination brain. But, so and then there were times where, we tried to figure out a hack. Like my wife had a hack where, like, if you change gears and put it into M, manual, like that somehow helps it a little bit. But then you forget that you're in manual, and there's I don't even know how, like when you're in manual and you're in automatic, like how there's no third pedal. So how are you shifting in manual on an automatic car? So you'd have to do manual. And then once it got up past the first gear, I guess we tried to shift it over to drive, and away you go. And then there were times where it works fine and you're accelerating nicely, smoothly. And then it'll just spike. Like, woo, woo. Just like, all right. I mean, this car is, was it 2016? We're in like year 4 of this thing, and it's already crapping out. I used to be so pro used car, because I was like, the new cars, they just jack up the price beyond all belief. Because there's a demand for new cars. Used cars, they need love too, right? A younger me would say fat chicks. They're the equivalent of fat chicks. They need love too, but that's not me anymore. I'm mature. So, just 4 years. That's all we get out of a used car. 4 years. We've only owned it for a year. What was going on with this previous owner? What were they doing with this car? So, yeah, that day, Saturday. So we had to drive to, I guess, drop off the car to get serviced. And then we had to get the loaner car. And of course, the loaner car that they give you is always better than the car that you have. And I mean, it took us like 2 seconds of driving in that car to be like, we should buy this car. We should trade in the car, the crappy car that we just had serviced for this new car. And of course, we look up the price and it's, a lot more. But you fall in love real quick and then it's hard to say no. So who knows what happens. But it turns out we need a new transmission, which isn't cheap. Some like $4,500, $5,000. Luckily, my wife is a soothsayer. She can predict the future and bought an extended warranty. So it's equal to $0 for a new transmission. Unbelievable. So, yeah. Saturday got the new loaner car and then drove to the pool. On the way to the pool, the baby falls asleep. And it's like sleep, naps, hard to come by. The kid wants to take a nap. Doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing. You're taking a nap right there and then. So I stayed in the car with the baby as she took an hour-long nap. And I had the car running because it's like 100,000 degrees outside. And if I turn the engine off but have the AC run, the battery dies, and then where are we? We're back to square one. So we definitely punctured a hole we contributed to the greenhouse effect, and we punched a hole in the stratosphere or whatever whatever thin, paper thin separation is between us and the sun. We just poked a little hole in it by running the car for an hour straight so my baby could sleep. And then we went to the pool. We parked at the pool. She slept. My wife and my sister-in-law went in, enjoyed themselves, and then I came in hot with the baby and had ourselves a day at the pool. But yeah, we ended up going to the dinner down the street, like I began this story with, and the baby was just not having it, not even a little bit, not even 1 ounce was she buying into this whole concept. Nope. Just a nope all across the board. It stinks because you show up and you get a mixed reaction, mixed bag, right? You get I'd say the childbearing to menopausal women, women in their 30s who want to get pregnant and have a baby, or the women that are like it's the women that are like would like to get pregnant, and there are women that have not been pregnant for a long time. Those are the two groups of women that look at our daughter in the matching dress with my wife and they go, "Aw." You have the pregnant women who are like, "Oh, that's going to come out of me in like a little bit," and they're not excited about it. You have the women who've had the baby and are like, "I know exactly what you're going through, and I wish I could say, oh, but I know exactly what's in store for you right now. I know what's coming down the pipe." And then there are people just annoyed. It's like, I got to deal with this little kid. Like, I had a long week of work. I just want to relax and enjoy myself and not have to listen to crying. And then you have a table full of bachelorettes in college that just want to like let loose and rip shots. And we had all of them looking at us eventually because the baby just could not sit still. Like, what sounds better than this? I'm going to pitch you on something. You're in a high chair. All right, maybe it's not the most comfortable high chair, but it's sturdy. It gets the job done. You have an iPad, okay? For an iPad for a child is like a big screen TV, if you're thinking relatively. Like, if you were to proportion it out, iPad is a big screen TV for a baby. So you're sitting in a nice, cool high chair, iPad playing one of your favorite movies. There's 2 of your favorite movies on that thing. You're watching one of them. And food is coming to you. And all you have to do is eat and watch your movie. Outside on a gorgeous day in the shade. I can't understand how you're not bad about it. How that's not enough for you. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe we'll just do this the whole one lap around the restaurant type thing, because that seems to work almost all the time. It's like, all right, we get there, we sit her in the high chair, the booster seat or whatever, and you can tell she wants to explore. She wants to know what's going on. Who's that? What's that? I need to know. I need to examine every square inch of this joint before I can actually just settle in and engage in some high level conversation. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll do the lap. Very easy. Pick her up, do a lap, go slowly so she can see everything and try to touch everything. And everyone can look at her and she can feel like she's, star of the show. And then she can get that out of her system and then we can sit down. So we do the lap. And this time she doesn't do the normal lap. She decides we're going to go to the empty parking lot of the bank next door. And we're just going to walk around an empty parking lot of a bank. What kind of frickin' person is this? What kind of hobo, recluse behavior is this? Who are we raising that this child is more interested in like just loitering in a freaking empty parking lot of a bank? I mean, I can see drug deals in her future. I can see soliciting certain sexual favors. I mean, I can only see bad things for this kid if that's what she's into in broad daylight. I did a lap. I did another lap. My wife did a lap. We did so many laps. I mean, it would make Michael Phelps blush. It would make Dale Earnhardt Jr. blush with the amount of laps we did at this frickin' restaurant. And everyone's looking at you, and you're saying, and I felt like saying to him, "What do you want me to do?" We're shoving food in her face. Every kind of food we have available to us. We have our bottles. We have our iPad. I don't know. As a kid, that age, not even 2, what more could you want? And it's and you have to scarf your food very quickly so that you can just get the hell out of there and take the L. Just take the L, box it up, and get the hell out of there. At one point, my sister-in-law looks at me and goes, "You good?" And it's like, no, very not good, very bad. That's the worst performance that my daughter's ever put on. And I let her know about it too. I gave her a very quiet tongue lashing. I didn't yell. I was like, "I'm very disappointed in you. You're being a very bad girl. I'm disappointed. You're making me sad. You're making mommy sad. And we're mad and we're sad. Sad and mad. You have a mad and sad dad." So, yeah. And we immediately just threw her in the crib. We're like, no books, no bath, no brushing your hair, no brushing your teeth. You're going to bed dirty and raw. Because that's what bad girls get. And then the next morning, my mother-in-law and her husband came to pick up some stuff from our storage unit, and she was just she's like a baby koala on me, just attached and latched to me, and just put her head in my shoulder, and it's just I mean, this is how it's gonna work. Then I'll deal with it, but I'm not, it's gonna be tough. So. Yeah, she used to be such a good eater. You'd put anything in front of her and she'd eat it. And we were like, this is insane. She's eating, duck à l'orange or, cherries flambé, whatever. You name it. Whatever classy, fancy dish you can think of and put it in front of her and she'd eat it. Now it's just I don't know, Cheerios. That's it. That's the only thing that she'll eat and not cry about. I mean, she used to love mac and cheese. She used to love avocado. None of it flies. Baked beans were huge. She didn't even touch her baked beans today. What happened? It's she had one thing that completely just it's she didn't have taste buds for a year and a half. And then one of them popped up out of nowhere and it was whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, no, 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 no. No thank you to any of this. Cheerios for life, son. Yeah, and then Sunday just got out of control after that. I just, you know, there's too much, just too much going on. Too many people. At one point, there was like a dog fight in her backyard, and then it's like the baby's going nuts because of the dog fight, and then we're having people over for like a dinner that, and it's like, I want to order pizza, and it's a no. The neighbor wants to come over and order pizza. Oh yeah, sure, no problem. I understand COVID's affecting everyone, and everyone's got a little COVID madness. Totally understand it. But this address thing that we've got going on at our place, got to stop. They got to do something about it. Our address didn't exist a little bit ago, apparently. 2 or 3 years ago, it didn't exist. It does exist now. It's been 2 or 3 years. Everyone update your system. Let's go. Our address does not show up in GPS. Part of our address shows up in GPS. And if you try to order delivery for food or anything else, it won't recognize it. Be like, no. That's not a real address. And our address is like, no, I'm a real boy. Like, I do exist. So we have to use another address, and then the special instructions be like, we're on this street, but it's off of this address that we just gave you. But sometimes we forget, and my wife forgot, placed an order on my phone. I didn't have my phone on me. We got the contactless delivery. I was outside. I come back in, and my wife's like, the food's still not here. What's going on? And they're like, did they contact you? Did you hear anyone? I was like, no. I don't know what's going on. I don't know when you ordered it. I don't know how you ordered it. I don't know. No one's come to the door. No one's rang the doorbell. No one's knocked on the door as far as I know. Look at my phone. There's a text from a random 973 number. It's like, delivered. Like, oh, that's interesting. That was like 15 minutes ago. I guess it came. And we go outside. There's no pizza. No pizza. So then we look next door, no pizza. We go to the other door. I walk across the street. I walk down the street. I went to every door on our street looking for this box of pizza. She calls the place, and this is a new place we've ordered from. We haven't ordered from them before, obviously. And the guy's like, accused us of running a scam, a fraudulent scam. Pizza fraud, he accused us of. This guy who picked up the phone at this fucking pizza place, saying we've had a rash of incidents where people claim that they never got their pizza when they did. And then we deliver, they basically get 2 pizzas for the price of 1. And it's like, guy, sorry for your woes. Unfortunate for you. Hate to see it, but we actually did not get a pizza. And there's a very easy way to solve all this. Delivery guy needs to just take a photo or a video of him placing the pizza box in front of the freaking door. Be like, we delivered it. But he didn't do that. And I guarantee there's like 1,000 of our street address names in the area. You couldn't have picked, of all the names, street names you could have picked, you could have picked something a little more unique than what we picked, because there's like one in every town surrounding us. Might as well call it Main Street. Of course, I texted the guy who just texted me that he delivered, and I was like, here's the details on where we are, dude. I gave him very vivid details. We're across the street from this, down the street from this. You'll see this landmark out the ass. And eventually it came like an hour or 2 later, and we ate it, and it was actually good. But it's like, I don't know if I can order from this place again. The guy accused us of running a scam. He got angry and flustered and frustrated at us because his delivery guy is a dickhead who can't follow directions. So I was in a sour mood, very sour mood, and it's carried over to this week. It's been a rough week, stressful week. A lot of people making demands. Guys, it's July. Hell is hot. What is that? Hell is hot and it's dark. That's definitely not it. It's dark and hell is hot. I don't know. DMX is going to give it to you. That's life. What a friggin' week. My daughter, that's all I can say. My daughter is literally all I can say. She doesn't want the shoes on. She wants the shoes on. She wants shoes on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. I don't want you to put my shoes on. I want mommy to put my shoes on. Oh, okay. Got it. So, terrible twos, y'all. She's not even 2. We're in the terrible twos. Awesome. Maybe she's just advanced. Yeah, keep telling yourself that, Neil. All right, let's talk movies. Historic agreement between Universal Pictures and AMC. Universal movies. Typically, you had to wait 75 to 90 days before they appeared on home entertainment platforms. And now Universal will have the option to put its movies on digital rental services after they play in theaters for 17 days, which that's a pretty significant decrease. And I don't know how I feel about it. 90 days feels too long. 75 days feels all right. 17 feels like, whoa, dude. Who is going to actually go to the theater when you can just wait 17 days? Is there a happy medium? I don't know. Especially with AMC, did they declare bankruptcy? Are they on the brink of bankruptcy? What happens if they do go bankrupt? Are other theaters going to follow suit? Are smaller chain independent theaters going to suffer? How is Netflix affected? There's a lot of questions around the future of movie theaters and whatnot. I mean, I still love going to the movie theater. I mean, when I had Movie Pass, I was like a pig in shit. Okay? I fucking loved it. I mean, $10 a month and I can go to unlimited, like a movie per day, 1 movie per day. I mean, holy shit. If I were, wow, you kids, you know how good you got it. But yeah, that was the life. No kid. Just go to like movie Friday, movie Saturday, maybe even Sunday. Ugh. And now it's like, I don't even know the next time I'll be in a movie theater. I'm trying to think of the last movie I saw in a theater, and I cannot remember. Was it February or January? The hell did we go see? Can't even begin to tell you. Was it Dr. Sleep? My birthday weekend? Was it Dr. Sleep? Holy shit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes you feel like going out. Sometimes you feel like staying in, Drive-in movie theaters are coming back, which is great because I've always wanted to go to a drive-in movie theater. I don't think I've ever been. It just looks cool. But it also might not be cool. I don't know. Someone at work was saying that Jurassic Park was like number 1 at the box office because it's like there were only drive-in movie theaters and they only play old movies at drive-in movie theaters. There was two other guys who were number 1 at the box office when there was like 0 other movies at the box office. They just basically paid a theater and bought out all the seats in the theater for one showing. And it was like, what was it, $25,000 for the weekend? It was like, that wins the box office. Like, they took advantage of it and they had a number 1 box office hit. And they can probably put that on any future marketing materials they got going on. The res, they're real. Not a bad move. But yeah, I don't know that I'm like super itching. I just love movie popcorn. I think that's it. I think I need to get like, and this is where like middle-aged midlife crisis me is kicking in, that I'm definitely at some point going to try and finagle, like build out a whole big home entertainment system, like movie theater type room, like go to the 9s, and then I won't be able to like fully experience or enjoy it because like the kids are sleeping. And then it's like, I just can't wait till they go to college so I can fully have my mini movie theater experience that I've always wanted. And by that time, I don't know, the Reaper will come for me. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Oh boy. So let's talk about Bloodshot. This it is. Okay. It was PG-13, hour and 49 minutes, action drama, sci-fi, comic book adaptation. It hit theaters March 13th, 2020, which is like right at the start of COVID. Right when everyone's like, we gotta shut her down. So it obviously didn't fare well at the box office. It's about Ray Garrison, Vin Diesel. He plays Ray Garrison, a slain soldier who's reanimated with superpowers. It's directed by Dave Wilson. And I don't know what else he's done. Did I just not write that down? Cool, Neil. Maybe he didn't have any directing credits. Okay. And it's written by Jeff Wadlow. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because he wrote Fantasy Island, which I recently reviewed a couple weeks ago. Also Truth or Dare, an episode of The Strain, Kick-Ass 2, which Quentin Tarantino was high on, and a couple episodes of Bates Motel. It was also co-written by Eric Heiserer, who wrote Bird Box, Extinction, Arrival, Lights Out, The Thing, Final Destination 5, and A Nightmare on Elm Street. So it's like if you have a sequel of a franchise that's pretty much run its course, you bring in old Eric. That's not fair. I mean, Arrival was like awesome. I like Bird Box too. I mean, it had some moments here or there where it was like, I don't know about that. Extinction, I don't know if I've seen Extinction. I think that was on Netflix with Michael Pena, if I'm thinking correctly. As I said, Vin Diesel is Ray Garrison, aka Bloodshot. Sam, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Sam Heughan as Jimmy Dalton. You might remember him from Outlander, which is a series that should be in my queue. It's on my list. I forget what season it's in now, but definitely something I want to check out. And then he was also in The Spy Who Dumped Me, if you remember that movie. Kate McKinnon and Mila Kunis. Isa Gonzalez as KT, not Katie. She was in Godzilla vs. Kong, Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, and Alita Battle Angel, Welcome to Marwen, Baby Driver. Toby Kebbell. I mean, can you give me like harder names to freaking pronounce? As Martin Axe. Toby has been in Servant, which is that M. Night Shyamalan series, I think, on Apple TV that I really want to watch. He was also in Kong Skull Island, War, and he voiced Koba, and the Planet of the Apes, the recent Planet of the Apes trilogy. If you're a Black Mirror fan, you'll remember he was in the one where there's like that thing, and maybe you put it in your ear. There was like a little device, and maybe you put it in your eye or your ear, and you can actually, it records like literally everything that you see. And then you can log it and store it digitally, and then you can rewind it back. And I like that episode, I think. That was a good episode. He's also in Wrath of the Titans and Fantastic Four. He was Dr. Doom in Fantastic Four, which, I mean, no one saw that. The most recent Fantastic Four with like Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan. Kind of reminds me of, what's his name? Jonathan Silverman, who was in that. He was in that TV show. The fuck was it called? But he was also in Weekend at Bernie's. One of the dudes in Weekend at Bernie's. Guy Pearce, one of my favorite actors of all time, is Dr. Emil Harding. If you're not familiar with Guy Pearce, I don't know if we can be friends, but I'll let it slide. He was in Memento, one of my favorite movies of all time. He was in LA Confidential, Iron Man 3. He played a similar character in Iron Man 3 as he does in this movie. Hurt Locker, King's Speech, Prometheus. He's got a nice little list going. I gotta say, of the people I've run down so far, Vin Diesel's Vin Diesel. I mean, I was watching this movie and I was thinking to myself, wow, I don't think I've seen a Vin Diesel movie in quite some time. I mean, I'm not counting Guardians of the Galaxy where he voices Groot. I'm talking about Jesus, Edwin Diaz sucks. He just sucks. Just flat out sucks. It's hard to watch. Bases loaded and you fucking hit a guy. Now we're down by 2. Sweet. But in terms of Vin Diesel movie, I never watched any of the Fast and Furious movies. Except like the first one in 2001? 2002, maybe? And I watched Pitch Black. So what was that, 99? So I think since 2000, Triple X. So I think Triple X was 2002 maybe also. So it's been fucking an adult-aged person since I've seen Vin Diesel in a live-action movie. Where he is also live action. He's not voicing something or someone. And all I can think about is Taron Killam's impression of Vin Diesel in that SNL digital short where The Rock remakes Bambi and The Rock is Bambi. And Vin Diesel, Taron Killam as Vin Diesel plays Thumper. And he just keeps talking the same way. He's like, I don't wanna. This is a friend of family. Like that was just running on loop in my head as I was watching this movie. So, how old is Vin Diesel now? He's got to be in his 50s, right? 40s, late 40s. I don't know. He's been around for so long, and I mean, he's just so. I actually Googled how tall is Vin Diesel, because at one point he was walking and I was like, he looks like he's in some like mega lift boots. Like, I think one of my buddies got this, but like shoes where you can buy like super hardcore lifts that add like 2 inches to your height. And it seemed like they had him doing that. And I was like, am I like seeing things or is he not tall? And then I Googled it. And unless someone's paying off Google, which I wouldn't put it past, Hollywood publicity agents, but he's 6 foot, just like me. So, but yeah, he did a lot of that in this movie. And to be honest, I was hoping it would get a little more humor out of him. I feel like the first act, to midway through the second act, like the first half of the movie, before they introduced Lamorne Morris as Wilford Wiggins. Okay, if none of those names sound familiar, he was Winston Bishop on The New Girl. And if you haven't seen The New Girl, if you don't like The New Girl, well then, let's fight outdoors, preferably when the sun's out so I can see it coming. But yeah, most of the comic relief came through Wilford Wiggins. And I feel like there were so many opportunities for Vin Diesel to just like let loose a little bit and have some fun with it. But I understand, like, it's a little tough when like you wake up and you don't know where you are, why you are, what you are. Tallulah Riley as Gina Garrison. She was Angela in Westworld. So she was one of the hosts in Westworld. Didn't have a lot of lines. She didn't have a lot of lines in this one either. Alex Hernandez as Marcus Tibbs, who I liked Tibbs. Tibbs was a character that I thought deserved a little more screen time. I thought there was something more there than there was. Blind soldier who was equipped with all kinds of cameras that he can see through the cameras, and he can see behind him and around him, and total like 360 vision. And there was a moment like towards the beginning of the movie, where Guy Pearce is like introducing Vin Diesel to all the other soldiers that he's helped out with his technology. And he introduced him to Tibbs, and there was like a connection there. There was a moment where it's like something positive is going to happen between these two, and they do a little fist bump. And I thought that was going to come into play at some point later in the movie, unless I'm misremembering. It never really did. Never really panned out. But I was hoping to see more out of Tibbs. Instead, we got more of the conflict was mostly driven between Sam Heughan's character Dalton and Vin Diesel, and you don't really understand, like, Dalton's like, okay, is Dalton jealous? Yes, I guess that's part of it. Is he envious? Maybe. He's the one who he doesn't have any legs, and he's been given prosthetic legs that allow him to run faster, jump higher, all that jazz. I would like to have seen them spend a little more time getting to know, like, Dalton and KT and Tibbs. I feel like we were introduced to them, and then we don't get much of their backstory. It's just a very quick, like, tweet, 140 characters of, like, their backstory, and it's only really, I don't know. Would have been nice to know, like, how, we're told how they lose their legs, or they were told just that, oh, he lost his legs, obviously, and oh, well, he's blind, and KT can't breathe without the help of this device that Guy Pearce's Dr. Harding character has developed. Just would have been nice. I mean, we get to see a little bit more of KT swimming. I guess that was cool. But it would have been a lot better if we got to know those characters a little bit more, and their prior history, their backstory. I mean, they kind of touched on it with when KT had the conversation with Vin Diesel by that pool thing, but I don't know. Could have explored that a little bit more. Tough to fit in, I understand, but would have been nice. Siddharth Dhahanajay as Eric. If you've ever seen Patty Cakes, which is a indie darling about a very heavyset white woman who becomes a rapper, he plays Jerry in that movie, Jheri, who starts off as her friend, and I think they actually become more than friends at some point. But he was really good in that movie. I liked him in that movie. I liked him in this movie. He was also sort of comic relief in this. So we talked about how, like, this came out right at the launch of COVID. Couldn't have picked a worse time to release in theaters, and it ended up grossing $10 million in the U.S. and Canada, and $23.4 million in other territories, for a worldwide gross of $33.4 million on a budget of $45 million. I mean, not bad. Almost balanced out before it had to be removed and all the theaters closed down. Over its first 3 days of home release, Bloodshot was the most watched on Amazon Prime and fourth most on iTunes. That's not too shabby, right? Most watched on Amazon Prime and fourth most on iTunes. Despite the pandemic's effects on the film's box office, Bloodshot was ranked number 1 on Digital Entertainment Group's Watched at Home Top 20 list for the week ending May 9th, which, again, is not too bad. The critics' consensus. Critics were not kind to this movie. Bloodshot gives Vin Diesel a solid opportunity to indulge in old-school action that should satisfy fans, even if the end result is disappointingly mediocre. I wouldn't disagree with that. It definitely felt very familiar, very, very familiar, like, path that it followed. sure Vin Diesel fans loved it. I'm not a huge Vin Diesel fan, but I'm not like completely opposed to him, even though I haven't seen the movie in 18 years. Anyway, 30% of critics gave it a favorable review with a 4.52 out of 10 average rating. And 78% of the audience gave it a favorable review with an average rating of 4.05 out of 5. And I have to say, I'd probably go closer to the audience on this one. And yeah, maybe it felt a little tired. It felt like, we've been down this road before. We've seen these characters before. Nothing really new is coming our way. It's almost like the old guard in a way. It's like, there's a lot more to this story that can be told. There's a lot more to explore. And that's why, maybe they didn't go into detail or depth with a lot of the supporting cast, because it's like, we're going to get into their stories as we move on down the line. Because this definitely, we'll get into it a little bit, but it just doesn't feel like a one and done. I feel like there's enough there that they could build on it, build the universe. So am I going to go high as a 4 out of 5? But I'm not going to go as low as like a 5 out of 10. So is that between 50 and, 80%, 50 to 80 rating? I'd probably go closer to like a 65. So I'm not really cutting it in half, I don't think. Although maybe I am. I'd split the difference and push it towards the audience. What did some of the top critics have to say? Glad you asked. It's diesel-powered dumb fun, which it's a pretty good. I mean, that should have been the tagline right there. Diesel-powered dumb fun. Another critic said the action sequences look like they were edited by a Cuisinart, harsh, burn, roast, boom. I did not pick up on that. The one sequence where it's like, is it Flower or what the hell truck crashes? They're in the tunnel. It's Martin Axe, and he's got his convoys, cavalry, whatever, of black SUVs with all these mercenaries or SWAT guys or whatever security detail. And Vin Diesel manages to like cut them off in the tunnel with a truck, crashes a massive truck that was carrying flour. Was it flour? I don't know, but it maybe it's just white powder. And I don't know that a commercial truck is transporting cocaine, but maybe, I don't know. I don't know what year it is. And so it's dark in the tunnel, the lights go out, and there's like white powder flying everywhere. And he's just, Vin Diesel's just taking round after round of bullets because he realizes, I got the healing power, do the nanites, whatever those little things are, that can just heal him and repair him super quick, all up in his blood. But it's also controlled by Guy Pearce's character through a server or something. That action sequence was pretty fucking dope. I don't know. So I've seen worse. When there's like when the director, the camera guy is just flinging the camera left and right, and it's just a blurry mess. That's awful. When you can't see anything, you can't see a punch land or a kick or anything like that. It's just like, what is going on right now? Am I having a seizure? What is happening? Another critic said a bewildering piece of good, bad sci-fi action trash, which it's like the best backhanded compliment I've ever heard. Good, bad sci-fi action trash. And if you can't get down with that, what can you get down with? Do you like to party? No? Okay. Hasta luego. Another critic said Inception drawn in extra thick Sharpie and testosterone. I thought that was a good line. Interesting they went with Inception. I didn't pick up on Inception at all with that. Although I guess, Guy Pearce's doctor is trying to incept memories plant these memories in Vin Diesel, spoiler, so that he will continue to murder on his behalf in what seems like revenge, but really isn't revenge, spoiler. I think my one cat is getting revenge on my other cat right now as we speak. Another critic said the movie is presented as the story of a man who hasn't figured out who he is yet. I mean, it's the story of my life. But that's not quite right. Instead, it's a movie that doesn't seem to know what it wants to be when it grows up. So cute. So clever. I don't agree with that, to be honest. And the Mets lose. Another absolute heartbreaker. Doesn't know what it wants to be when it grows up. I think to be honest, I don't know. I think it had a premise that was not just typical action bullshit. I think there were some layers to it. Maybe it didn't navigate those layers that well. Maybe you could have brushed up on some character development. Maybe punch up the dialogue so that the humor's a little bit more there. But to say it doesn't know what it wants to be when it grows up, I mean, I'll get to it in a minute, but they have big plans for this character and for this franchise. So, I think it kind of tippy-toed on the fine line between being like Venom. So if you remember, Venom wasn't like your typical, Marvel, DC comic book superhero movie. It was a little bit campy and cheeky and, but it was like winking at the audience. And I feel like this almost had that kind of tone to it. And I wish it did, push it in that direction as opposed to trying to be like and Thor did this too. Like Thor Ragnarok, everyone loved because it had more humor and offbeat, off the cuff type situations and interactions. Whereas like Thor Dark World and the first Thor was a little, it felt a little bit stale or stiff. So it started to loosen up in the second half of the movie. I'll say that. But it would have been nice if like it just had a little more fun with it, a little more dumb fun. Because I mean, it got better once Wiggins entered the picture, because at least it's almost like he played the part of the audience in a lot of ways, and what the audience was thinking. And there needed to be more of that throughout. And maybe that was supposed to be Eric, the techie that works with Guy Pearce's character. I don't know. But the last of the critics that I'll mention said this: Vin Diesel looks more than ever like Mr. Clean fused with Adam Sandler. Oh boy. I mean, Mr. Clean, not a bad looking dude. I'm sure many a lady has flicked their bean to Mr. Clean, and you can print that. Adam Sandler also, I mean, I need to get, from my perspective, you could do worse if you're a lady. Now, if he had the humor of Adam Sandler, that'd be nice. It's a little more self-awareness. I mean, understandably, I mean, he's dealing with trauma. So it's like you don't want to get too loose with it. He thinks that he's lost his wife and he's trying to get revenge. So I get it. Like, you're not going to be like all laughs and lollipops. Let's dive into some fun facts and trivia. Why don't we? One time. Bloodshot is one of the most popular characters in the 80 million comic selling Valiant universe. Bloodshot has sold over 7 million comics in all languages. I honestly didn't know about this character until I saw the trailer for this movie. And I love the trailer. Bloodshot issue number 1 was a much anticipated comic that became the best-selling issue and has gone to sell approximately 1 million copies. It was also awarded Best Comic and Best Innovation for its chromium cover, the first of its kind. There was I mean, this is also, I love little connections like this. I mentioned Guy Pearce was in Memento, one of my favorite movies. That was also about a man with memory loss tracking down his wife's killer. Both movies featured someone manipulating the truth about his wife's killer to try and control the protagonist. Yeah. So I thought that, and to have Guy Pearce in this movie, when did I get tipped off about this? Like, Guy Pearce is in the movie. He was in Memento, one of my favorite movies. But did I pick up on that? I don't think I did. When did I pick up on it? It was before it was definitely before it was revealed, I think. I'm getting good at this, by the way. Other than in Walk to Remember. Although even in Walk to Remember, I was right near, which this is not fun. I don't think that's fun guessing what's going to happen. That's not fun. But it's happening more and more often. So maybe I should just start writing some movies and crank out some screenplays and get some money. But yeah, I think I called it. When did I call it? I mean, they kind of reveal a little bit in the trailer. They actually revealed, I think I revealed a lot in the trailer. So maybe I already knew going in, but I still liked it. Okay. In April 2015, Sony Pictures' original film in Valiant announced a 5-picture deal to bring Valiant comic superheroes to the big screen, including Bloodshot. So Bloodshot was conceived to be followed by a sequel. So we'll get Bloodshot 2 and then 2 films based on the comic book series Harbinger and a culmination in a crossover titled Harbinger Wars. So we're looking at, yeah, they got some plans, and I don't know how this affects everything. Because it's like there was supposed to be a whole dark universe with the Mummy and Tom Cruise, and then that flopped, and they were like, ooh, maybe not. But then they kind of reinvigorated the universe with Invisible Man. So maybe they rejigger their plans for this Bloodshot universe. But just like the old guard, I think they've laid down a nice little foundation. It's almost like when you're watching TV. Season 1 is always like piques your interest. You're like, all right, I could get on board this show. It got better. Season 1, it's like, all right, not the greatest, but like, let's see where they go from here. And then usually season 2 of a TV series is typically always the best season, 2 or 3. And that's how I feel about Bloodshot and the Old Guard. I feel like the first movie is like, and it sets everything up nicely, but there's still a lot more to be told and explored. So, there's supposed to be a post-credit scene where Ken Watanabe, definitely butchered that, plays Toyo Harada, a powerful psychic. And this will lead into Harbinger, who I think Harbinger is someone that can control technology, and maybe he's a villain. I'm not sure. Or is Harding Harbinger? I'm sure all the comic book fans that are listening or watching, of which there are 0, are like, you fucking idiot. Of course it's Harding as Harbinger. I don't know. I got some T2 vibes from this. There's like the ET instead of the glowing finger, it's like the glowing heart inside Vin Diesel's chest. There was that going on. But like there was definitely some T2 vibes going on in this when like Vin Diesel gets blown to smithereens and you just see like the nanites kind of like dispersed from the shot and then just all kind of come back and heal him real quick one time. But yeah, dude, those nanites so clutch. But yeah, T2 vibes. What was the other vibe I got from this? T2. And there was one other thing. Can't think of it. Had it, and then it just like took off. Bon voyage. All right, so that's Bloodshot. I liked it. I hope for a little bit more out of it, but like you have to have like when you see that that 30%, this is like in line with Gemini Man, I would say. Gemini Man had shitty ratings from critics. The audience loved it because sometimes the audience just wants like an action movie that has a little cool premise or concept, something that's just a little different. It doesn't have to be like, breaking any barriers or groundbreaking or revolutionary. It just has to have like a little unique concept with a nice little twist. Blood owl. But these critics, man, all they do is hate. So I would give it a shot if I was you. All right, let's talk about Archive. This came out July 10th. It's an hour, 49 minutes, sci-fi. Am I allowed to say thriller? You be the judge. Here's the plot synopsis from IMDb. It's the year 2038. Which, dude, Upload, which I reviewed, was in 2033, 2038. My daughter will be 20. Ha! Wow. George Almore is working on a true human equivalent AI, artificial intelligence, and his latest prototype is almost ready. The sensitive phase is also the riskiest as he has a goal that must be hidden at all costs, being reunited with his dead wife. Directed and written by Gavin Rothery, which I believe he has like one other credit and it's just a short. So this is his feature film debut. And it is just like Andrew Patterson with The Vast of Night. It is a doozy. It is a good one. I mean, for a fucking debut, not too shab. The cast, Theo James. So I mentioned this in the intro. Plays George Almore. Who is Theo James? Maybe not exactly a brand name just yet, but he was in Castlevania, the TV series. He was in Underworld, one of the Underworld movies. And he was in that Allegiant, Divergent, Insurgent trilogy, where he played Shailene Woodley's romantic interest. And the ladies love him. Ladies love Theo James, LL Cool J. I didn't realize. My sister-in-law, and it's always tough when I'm trying to pick a movie with my wife, but then you mix in the sister-in-law, makes it doubly tough because like we don't have the same tastes. We're all in different areas of movie fandom. I actually asked my sister-in-law, like, what are your top 5 favorite movies? And she's like, I can't answer that. I'm like, okay, all right, I appreciate it. And the only reason I ask that is like so I can at least do some research and we can cut down on the amount of time we spend browsing because that takes up at least an hour. You got to factor in an hour browse time, watching a million trailers, getting lukewarm responses to each of the trailers. You play one trailer, they love it, and I'm watching it. I'm like, I don't know if I can sit through 2 hours of this. I need to be intoxicated. But there, as soon as I mentioned Theo James was in this, they were like, yeah. I was like, so you don't care that it's basically like Ex Machina, sci-fi, those robots. And they're like, nope, Theo James. I'm like, all right, good to see that when it comes down to it, we're all just human and we all just want some eye candy once in a while. So yeah, it's Theo James. Stacey Martin as Jules Almore. That's Theo's wife, dead wife. She also voices the various iterations of the robots that he builds. So J3, J2, J1. I didn't recognize a lot of the credits that she was in, or a lot of credits that she has. I will just bring up that she plays young Joe in Nymphomaniac Volume 1 and 2. And I bring that up because I've not seen Nymphomaniac Volume 1 and 2, but it has been in my Netflix queue for years, and I don't have the balls to watch it. That's the story. That's all I got. All I know is I saw the preview image, the thumbnail, the movie poster, whatever you want to call it. It's on Netflix, and I added it to my queue. But I just don't have it in me to watch it. But I mean, I got to cross it off the list. I got to get out of my queue. I can't stand it when a movie's been in my queue for too long. It bothers me. Rona Mitra. I just realized that this cast breakdown I have is kind of horny. Yikes. Rona Mitra as Simone, the VP of Internal Development of Artisan Robotics. If you were a fan of FX's The Strain, she was in that. I haven't seen it. But you want to talk about preview images or thumbnails or promotional art, whatever you want to call it. The fucking shit that they were putting out for The Strain. Oh my God. Even like the outdoor advertising, like if you're walking out and about in the city, remember those days? Dear God, I got a little queasy, a little nauseous looking at that promotional art, that print art. Google it, but don't say I didn't warn you, because it's like a long tongue, and there's like a needle and an eye. I don't know. There's a lot of very intense graphic imagery going on with The Strain that I don't know how you get away with advertising that in public. I sound like an old man on the lawn yelling at the sky. But that's how I feel. The Last Ship, which I also didn't see. I think that's on TNT, maybe. TBS. That's another show. That's a show I could get into, I think. I think that's... Is that about aliens? Is that about Battleship? Game Over Man, which I do not remember her in Game Over Man. And I wish Game Over Man... I wish it was something that was a little more memorable. Actually, I think that other guy, Jerry, that was Eric in Bloodshot, was in Game Over Man. He was the one who was like, no, he wasn't. No, that wasn't him. You're racist, Neil. But her, the credit that I latch on to and that I remember for Rona Mitra, Nip Tuck. I was very into Nip Tuck for a hard 2 or 3 seasons, because it was like plastic surgeons, and they're like constantly, the one dude who actually played Dr. Doom in another Fantastic Four movie was just constantly humping girls, like very beautiful girls, and sometimes he would just like have sex with the ugly women, or sorry, not ugly women, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Women that wanted surgery or who didn't have high self-esteem and they wanted surgery, and so he would have sex with them, but he would put them down. It was just like one hell of a joyride, and she was in it, and I think she was spoiler. No one talks about Nip Tuck anymore. It's so interesting, but I was very into it, and she played a killer. Maybe she was a doctor or a cop, but she was also a killer. I don't know. That's when the show went a little sideways. It was it's now a murder mystery. Richard Glover is Melvin, an associate of Vincent Sinclair. Hans Peterson as Elson. I honestly thought this was the dad from Step Brothers, and it's not the dad from Step Brothers. After looking at IMDb, it for sure is not. But if you watch this movie and you watch the scene with Elson, you're like, that's the dad from Step Brothers. So I don't know. Toby Jones as Vincent Sinclair, an executive of the archive company. This dude is like raking it in as like evil scientist / doctor, like bad doctor. Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, Wayward Pines, Captain America, First Avenger, Harry Potter series. Like this dude makes bank. And I bet he has no qualms about it. He's like, you need a evil looking bad doctor? I'm your guy. And I'm just going to continue to make a career out of it. And God bless him. You know, if it ain't broke, my man. So yeah, I think Theo James did a really, I think he did a better job in this than he did in like the friggin' trilogy, Allegiant, Divergent, Insurgent, in my opinion. I mean, obviously he's like gets a lot more screen time. He's the main character here, but you know, I thought he did a very convincing job. Yeah, I'll say that. I know I'm going on a limb, but there it is. Stacey Martin as the wife. Yeah, she was good. I'm like painfully aware of how thin these women are. I think she was just so thin. You know, like thin women. And I know you're not supposed to body shame. I get it. I body shame myself on a not a daily basis, like a minute basis. Every minute of my life, I'm looking at my body and being like, I'm disgusted. So I'm not body shaming this woman, but the women like that are just like, how is that? Like, how are you that thin? Like, where is everything? How is that possible that your arm goes like straight down? There's like no, and there are plenty of people, men and women included, who love that, who are into it. But I'm just always curious because like I'm a curvy guy. I like curves. Boom, I said it. But I'm also fascinated by the anatomical structure, physiology of women who, and I've noticed it in a lot of actresses in a lot of movies where it's just like, where is everything? Where is it? Where does it go? How is your body constructed? Okay. The critics' consensus for Archive. Archive executes its fairly basic program efficiently, offering sci-fi fans an engaging meditation on love and human nature. 73% of critics gave it a favorable review with an average rating of 7 out of 10. There are not enough audience members. So if you're listening and you've watched this, you get on the RT, on the Rotten Tomatoes, and leave your review. Hopefully it's fairly positive. I would say I would put my review right around there. 7 out of 10. I think I put 7 out of 10 on the old IMDb. So yeah. Hard to say what I would give it without the twist. But then again, a lot of people will say, well, the twist detracts from the rest of the movie. And I think that's one of the main criticisms is like, well, this was really slow. And like everything that happened, is it just null and void? Like, what do we do with it once we find out the twist? Some of the top critics, what did they have to say about this little darling debut? Asking what happens if a machine replicates free will so well. What? I don't even know what I just read. Asking what happens if a machine replicates free will so well that it begins to form its own desires contrary to that of its creator. Archive is a unique take on love and loss. Okay. Yet somehow Rothery turns this all around in the last few minutes into something that left me genuinely stunned. Okay. Sleek and satisfying riff on familiar sci-fi themes. Yes, for show. I mean, it's hard to not draw comparisons to Ex Machina. I think that's what most people see when they see this movie. It's like, okay, you got a dude who builds a robot. It's a female that kind of has her own way of thinking and rebels to a certain extent. So yeah, there's that. There's I picked up on like Westworld influences, especially when he's creating J3, the third prototype, and you can see like her coming through the liquid, and then you have this circular white circle, and it's like very strikes a chord. If you've seen Westworld, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So there's a little bit of that going on. I would say Inception. I know we mentioned with Bloodshot that they were like referring to Inception. I would say that in the so they're in Japan and it's like winter and it's snowing, and then the laboratory, the facility that he's in, for some reason like makes me think of Inception. I've also seen comparisons to, I think it's called Mother, which we just watched. Did I give a review of that? I should have, but did I? I don't know if I did. I should have. But yeah, same kind of setup as Mother or I Am Mother. Is that it? Same kind of environment, you know, isolated, remote. So yeah, I feel like he just kind of Rothery cherry picked a lot of what his favorite sci-fi elements from his favorite sci-fi movies and TV shows and just plugged it in, plug and play. And I'm not hating on it. Why not? Another critic said, when Rothery's storytelling stalls, his filmmaking keeps things crisp and involving. You know, and that was the main criticism for a lot of people, was like slow, overrated, but like because of the way that he shot and because of Theo James' intensity, that it carried the film pretty much. So I know a lot of people, my wife and my sister-in-law were like, where is this going? How is this going to end? Which can be a gift and a curse, can be good and can be bad. You know, you can be like, where is this fucking going? Like you're tired of it and you're bored, versus you're intrigued. Like, where is this going? So I will say this, and now we get into the spoiler section. The twist. That ending. Whew. I called it, by the way. I think I pretty much called it. I forget when I called it, but it was much like with Bloodshot. I called it before the reveal. But okay, so here's what I don't get. I have a lot of questions. I'm left with a lot of questions. And that's not to say that it ruins the movie. But the twist kind of negates a lot of what's happening for like 95% of the movie, right? So Archive is similar to Upload, which is similar to, in a way, I guess, The Good Place meets Transcendence, that Johnny Depp movie. Basically, your digital consciousness is uploaded somewhere and you're allowed to live in this afterlife, right? So Theo James, driving with his wife, tells her about this opportunity in Japan. He's going to be able to build robots, his dream. He gets millions of dollars to do it in a facility. He has total control, I think. And so she's kind of on the fence. It's like, wow, Japan, like that's a big move. And they're driving the car and it crashes. And you see like him kind of like moving and bloody. And you see like her arm is all bloody, but like stationary, not moving. And so they, you know, the conclusion you reach is like she's dead. And so what ends up happening is her consciousness gets uploaded to this machine and he is able to talk to her. But unlike, it's kind of like Upload in that when we talked about Upload, it's a freemium environment or afterlife, right? So you need to keep refilling your account or paying for things. Otherwise, you get relegated to the basement with the 2 gigs, and you're allowed 2 gigs of data. And once you go through that, you freeze and you can't do anything. Well, this, it's like you're allowed so many hours of data or whatever. So he's talking to his wife, but he has 200 hours with his wife, right? So if you ration that out, if you think about it, it's like, all right, I got 200 hours before she's gone, like forever. Like I can't talk to her anymore at all because that's just where the technology is at. So 200 hours, you figure if I do 1 hour a week, that'll buy me like 4 years, right? Am I doing the math correctly? If we talk for half an hour a week, that'll get me possibly 8 years with her. But the catch is like, how do you just limit yourself to half an hour with a wife that you know you'll not, like the car crash, you don't know, like it's boom, kaput, done. But like, there is a finite time that you have available with your wife. Like, Jesus, like how are you going to limit it to half an hour a week? A week. Jesus Christ. I mean, you do an hour a day, you're done in less than a year. So, what ends up happening is like Theo James' character, he finds out a way. He's like, I'm gonna build a robot that has artificial intelligence that is, like I said, human equivalent. But then I'm going to upload my wife's digital consciousness into this robot, and so then boom, I can live the rest of my life at least with her. Possibly even find out a way to transfer my consciousness to it, also a robot, when I go, and then we can be robots together. Not a bad plan. Dude, sign me up. Let's figure it out. I don't want to die. But so alas, you see throughout the movie that he is infringing on a copyright because he is, like, I guess you could say, hacked, or he's stealing technology from the archive company. He's trying to steal it. Basically, it's illegal what he's doing. His company's getting sued. He's getting berated by the Rona Mitra. So I don't know what it is about her. Her and Maura Tierney, I think, are like doppelgangers. Something there. I don't know what it is. I love my wife. So he's getting bitched out by Rona Mitra, and then he has the Sinclair Melvin or whatever, the evil looking bad doctor, and his henchman lackey come and investigate and kind of inspect the archive company machine that Theo James uses to communicate with his dead wife. And it's like, this looks like it's been tampered with. You're violating the Dead Restoration Act or something like that. And they're about to like throw down. And he's like, get out. And the whole time, so obviously it's the walls are closing in on him, right? And he's got to figure out how to get the consciousness into his wife's, the robot that he created, so that they can, I guess, escape and live happily ever after. Crimes and felonies and arrests be damned, I guess, jail time be damned. But as he's developing this J3 prototype, there's a J1 prototype and there's J2 prototype. The J1 prototype is very clunky, cannot speak, just like beeps and chirps, and is not very mobile and whatnot. And we find out that the development, the brain, I guess the artificial intelligence development, is equivalent of like a 5-year-old person. The J2 prototype is a little bit better, still a little clunky, but it can speak, but it's not, it's a little more mobile, but not, does not resemble a human at all. and it has the development of like a 16-year-old. And then the J3 prototype is like looks like a human and is fully developed human equivalent. So the J2 prototype is getting super jealous the whole time throughout the movie. And Theo James is almost like a dad to the J1 and J2 prototype. Like, you shouldn't be out in the bad weather. You're gonna get wet. You know what happens when you're wet. So he's acting like a father, parental figure to J1 and J2. And J2 is obviously jealous of what's happening with J3. She's like, why don't you make these improvements to me? Am I not good enough? Blah, blah. Kind of the insecurities and doubt that a 16-year-old would have, right? And as a father, he's like, no, don't worry about it. Like, you're fine as you are. Don't worry about it, blah, blah. So, I'm going to reach down for the, yeah, there we go. Got to plug it in, plug it in. And then J2 eventually, kind of runs away. She keeps going to this one secluded spot by a waterfall and like kind of just staring off. And like, you're like, what is this J2 robot doing? She's like all alone. She's just like deep in thought, I guess, pondering certain things, life, I guess. And then eventually she just says her goodbye to J1. The J2 robot says goodbye to J1 and just walks into a lake. Just like commits suicide, I guess. And so you're really like invested in this J2 robot. You're like, holy shit, what a journey. Like, this robot was created, it had intelligence, and it wants approval and love from its father, Theo James, and Theo James is too wrapped up in developing J3 that he does have a tendency to ignore, neglect, maybe even not fully appreciate or not be grateful for or devalue J2. And so that dynamic, that relationship is probably the most compelling of them all. And J2 just like has had enough and is like, I'll never be good enough for this. Theo James gets wrapped up in its own head and starts spiraling and just walks into a lake. That was what Drew tugged at the emotional heartstrings, whatever. And it was like, wow, the wow moment of the majority of the movie, until you get the twist ending where you find out like, okay, walls are closing in on Theo James. The archive company's coming for him and they're not happy about it. They have these robots that are killer robots and they're trying to break down the walls and the barriers and blah, blah. And he's like, he's got the J3 prototype. The J3 prototype is also rebelling to a certain extent because she's like, you just created me so that you could have her, like, your whole plan was to upload her digital consciousness to me, which means that my existence will be wiped out. You're overwriting me. I'm just a software program to you. And he's like, yes, but it's he somehow convinces her. So she has a gun, is about to shoot him. And she's like, and he somehow talks her out of it. So she lies down. He's about to insert and upload the thing. He does. And then the phone from the archive company rings. And it's so part of this is like, as you're reaching the 200-hour limit, data limit, whatever, when you're talking to the deceased party, the connection gets worse and worse and worse. So it becomes more staticky. So the J3 prototype is like, don't pick that up. So she pretends like she is the dead wife for like a hot minute. And then he's like, no, this isn't you. Like, this isn't it didn't work. And then the phone for the archive company rings and she's like, don't pick it up. And then he picks it up and the wife is like, I'm sorry I didn't tell you I was pregnant. Because that is revealed as that was weird too. It was like, wait, so how does the robot know that she's getting memories? But I guess it was like she's getting these memories of Theo James when she was alive. So then it's like, why are you upset when it's like, now you're going to get all 100% of the dead wife? I don't know. That was confusing. But he picks up the phone and the wife is like, I'm sorry, our time is over, blah, blah. And he's like, she's like, I should have told you that I was pregnant. I'm sorry, but say hello to your daughter. So then you're like, it's like, whoa, like, wait, so she's alive. She has a 4 or 5 year old daughter. The daughter says, hi, daddy. And then you realize, oh my God, Theo James is the one who's dead. He's the one who died. The wife is alive and well with their daughter. And then you see him kind of just like, boom, fade away, evaporate, disintegrate, and then pull back, cut to the wife like walking away from the archive company machine. And then Sinclair being like, sorry, bro. And then she walks away with the daughter. You're like, oh, okay, cool. That is one hell of a twist. I called it. I'm not saying I hate it, but it also raises so many questions about the movie that you watched. So, and maybe it would have been too clear of a giveaway if you just tell it from his perspective and he's in every shot and every scene. Then you pick up like a Sixth Sense vibe to it. There's definitely a Sixth Sense influence to it. But like with Sixth Sense, it just pulled it off better. This one, it's like, okay, we're completely, so there's this complete digital environment where we are able to follow J2 committing suicide or like secluding to some area. And, like how are we able to continuously follow J2 and her adventures and whatnot when it was Theo James is the one who's locked in this archive company? Like if every shot and scene included him, it would make more sense to me. But the fact that we went kind of this red herring rabbit hole with J2, it's like, how are we able to watch that? And wouldn't we have been better served if you saw Theo James see her walk into the lake or something like that? Does that make sense? I feel like, still called it though. All right. So that's archive. Let's talk Mets really quickly. It's been one hell of a week. They're 3-4 now. I just watched the end of the Mets game, the last game against the Red Sox at Citi Field. And they're just as frustrating as ever. But we'll start with some MLB news first. Fox, I got my first taste of Fox using the virtual fans for the broadcasts, and I don't hate it. I mean, it's noticeable at certain points, but for the most part, it's just nice feeling that there are fans in the stadium, even if it's not the same kind of noise. I don't hate it. I really don't. It's feels a little bit closer to normal than having empty stands or cardboard cutouts. So I'm all for it. Our dreams of getting Mookie Betts are done. The Dodgers signed him to a 12-year, $365 million contract extension. So I assume that we will sign him when he is like 45 years old, and he'll play to like a 4 or 5 year contract, and he'll do what every other over the hill player that the Mets sign have done, and just slowly die. We had talked about how the Blue Jays were going to play games at PNC Park in Pittsburgh, their home games. And the Pennsylvania Department of Health was like, nah, son, not going to happen. So I guess they're going to play their home games in Buffalo, although they just played a home game in Washington. So, I mean, this season is already off the rails. The Marlins, like, what? The Marlins, like, decided that they're just going to go out and fucking rage and not wear masks and not socially distance and not do everything that we've been asking people to do for the past fucking 4 goddamn months. And they all got COVID and they spread it. They came to the ballpark, tested positive, and Mattingly is like, you get out there and you have yourself a ball game. Like, all around just failures, fail across the board. And so then the Phillies were in jeopardy of having it, and then they had postponed the Yankees game. It just had a ripple effect. It's going to have a ripple effect. So the Marlins just are currently at 2-1. I think they're on pause until like Sunday. I don't know how they're going to make up. So they got to make up Saturday, Friday, 3, 7. I mean, they got to make up like 4 or 5 games, I think. If they're unpaused on Sunday, I don't even know if that'll happen. But and we got a 4-game set with them coming up, a series coming up with them. So I don't even know if that's going to happen. But I don't know. I don't know. The more I think about it, it's like, I don't know how they're going to pull off the season. This season is no longer about who is the best team winning ball games against other teams. It's who can survive coronavirus. Who is smart enough to keep safe and healthy, and you then win the Corona series. It's no longer about beating your opponent and scoring the most runs and limiting runs and playing offense and defense. It's about not getting coronavirus. And the last team to withstand that and not get coronavirus, you were the World Series champion. You were the world champions. It's like, you need to beat coronavirus. That's the only thing you need. That's the only team you need to beat coronavirus. I mean, it's just a wacky season. Like, Major League Baseball expands playoffs to 16 games and 8 wild card series. Top 2 teams in each division will make the playoffs. So that's 6 per league. And then the 2 teams with the best records in their league that did not finish in the top 2 of their division will also make the playoffs, which I also don't hate. I mean, there have been plenty of times you look back over the years, like in the 80s with the Mets, it's like they had better records than the guys, the division winners that were going to the playoffs. Should have been in. And you could make an argument that, like, oh, certain divisions are tougher than others, and like, there almost needs to be like a weighted record strength of schedule factored in. But then it's like, I don't know, you gotta be like a fucking statistician to figure that out. So 8 teams per league will make the postseason. Which, if I look at day to day, the Mets were 3-3 and they were a wild card as of yesterday. They lost 3. They're now 3-4, but I think they're still a wild card. I don't know. And like Gary Cohen said, like, it kind of really devalues the regular season where you have teams that have losing records getting in the playoffs, and you don't want to reward that. Like, I think that happens in the NBA. And it's just like, what? Why? Like, how is this? You should at least have a winning record to go to the playoffs. So according to ESPN's Jeff Passan, I don't know. Here's how playoff seeding will be determined. Seeds 1 through 3 will be division winners, selected based on record, or seeded based on record. 4 through 6 will be the second place finishers based on record. 7 and 8 will be the best records among non-first or second place finishers, seeded based on record. So I don't know. I mean, the Mets have a good shot if they, not a great week to start off on. I know that when we were coming into this, I said that I think they could get off to a hot start because the Braves were not at full strength. I said that Markakis had opted out and now he's opted back in, which is a thing. I didn't know that. I mean, I guess, I don't know, the Marlins, hopefully we can beat. If we can't beat the Marlins when half their squad has COVID, then it's like, let's just fucking hang it up. Let's just forfeit and go to 2021 and lose all of our pitchers. So the playoffs, first round of the playoffs will be a best of 3, all games at the home park of the top 4 seeds. That's interesting. I think that's kind of cool. all games at home for the top 4 seeds. I like it. Second round will be a best of 5. Third round, best of 7. Fourth round, best of 7. So I guess the Mets can make it, but it's like, can you imagine if we like win the World Series in a 60-game regular season with everyone getting COVID, the Marlins not even playing, and our regular season record is like it's like 25-35. That, yeah, you know, I'd love to see how the Baseball Hall of Fame sets up that exhibit. I mean, at this point, it's like, who gives a shit? Just like, this is funny at this point. So opening night, we had the 1-0 win over the Braves. Cespedes hits a home run, and everyone's like, he's back. I mean, me especially. I was like, he's back. And then now he's gone like fucking, he was entering yesterday's game. He was 2 of 15 with 8 strikeouts, and I think he struck out like 2 or 3 more times the next game, and then he struck out another couple times tonight. So he almost has like more strikeouts than at bats at this point. And I wonder like how long you let this go if you're Luis Rojas. Like how long do you let it go? Like as long as he's hitting a home run every 2 or 3 games, is that worth it? I mean, they're always solo shots, which sucks. So I don't know. At some point, you know, Dom Smith has the most RBIs on the fucking team, and he's not even a starter. Maybe you just slot Dom Smith in as DH and let it ride. I mean, at some point, Rojas has got to say, maybe he doesn't have to. Maybe he's like, this season's fucked anyway. Who cares? Like, I'm just going to run I'm going to run Cespedes and Cano into the ground. This will be their last hurrah. And then 2021, I'll make some moves. 2021, I will not favor Cespedes and Cano because I was like, hey, I did it in 2020 and he stunk. Yeah, gone. I mean, at some point you got to say like they're really hurting our chances of winning. I mean, Cespedes has been in multiple opportunities with runners in scoring position and hasn't even put the ball in play, dude. So, yeah. Got to start thinking about it. That was a weird win, though. DeGrom goes 5 and we get the win. What? Of course, he gets a no decision, obviously. But Lugo and Wilson looked good in that game, and even Edwin Diaz looked good in that game. But that was about it for the bullpen looking good. Braves won 5-3. Next game, this is where Edwin Diaz came back down, crashed back down to earth. And a ball of flames. We had a what 2-1 lead, I think. Yeah, 2-1. And he blows the save. Braves end up tying it, go to extras. The extra innings rule has been debated, hotly contested since this happened. He put a runner on second, and with the Mets, that's like an automatic run for the team. But Hunter Strickland ends up with the loss because he can't bear down. But yeah, Diaz stinks. My God, he stinks. And Hunter Strickland has been DFA'd. DFA'd or just released? I don't know. He's no longer with the team. We then get trounced on national TV. Rick Porcello looks like garbage. Has zero control and has an early exit. Then I think Oswald comes in and he gets lit up. So that was cool. Then we go to Fenway and we win 7-4. Michael Waka looks pretty good. Gives us 5+ solid innings. So that was nice. Offense comes alive. The offense came alive the next day. Another 8-3 win. Now we get to see David Peterson. So it looks like David Peterson goes, 5-ish innings and looks pretty good. So it looks like the back end of the rotation. I mean, the rotation for the most part looks good, minus Porcello. The first go round, DeGrom looks somehow is better than he was. unbelievable. And he now has 2 no decisions and 2 starts. Par for the course. Matt's even looks good. You know, he held the Braves in check. He held the Sox in check. You know, you can't ask for more out of Matt's, especially at home, where he struggled last year. It's just Porcello has got to get his act together. But Waka and Peterson, I mean, 5+, solid ball. That's all we need. I mean, you know, obviously we'd love more considering our bullpen is just like erratic. But and then, you know, we come back to Citi Field and we drop both. 6-5 yesterday, Wednesday, and then 3 was it whatever they lost today too. You know, Christian Vasquez just decides to be a fucking all world type player. Never heard of him in my life, but all of a sudden he's just clutch hits left and right. I mean, we should have won yesterday, and then we had chances to win tonight too. Like yesterday, Wednesday, you know, DeGrom had the lead. He throws a fantastic pitch. I mean, literally, you could not paint the black any better than this motherfucker. Umpire does not call strike 3. And like the very next pitch or later in the sequence, dude hits double, run scores. And then the dude on second eventually scores. You know, it's 2 runs that I will officially, in my book, charge the ump. Shouldn't have happened. So that's 2 runs that shouldn't have happened, and we end up losing 6-5. I mean, Jesus, dude. Bases loaded. Bottom of the 9th. Heart of our lineup up. No outs. Conforto strikes out. Cespedes strikes out. Cano, soft liner out. Dude. I don't know. For all the talk about how we're like, I get so amped when I see our lineup card. I mean, there's little complaints here and there, but it looks so good when they put it up, that graphic up with the lineup every day. Because you look at it and you're like, I mean, McNeil is a batting average champion. Alonso is the home run champion. Rosario got hot in the second half last year. He's like 7th in hits. I mean, Conforto, his OPS was over almost 900. But like KFC says with Barstool, he's like, we keep thinking about Cespedes as 2015 Cespedes, and that was 5 fucking years ago. And 2016, he was good, but he also had some injuries. And then he shit the bed in the wild card game. And in 2017 hurt, 2018 out, 2019 out. So like, you know, he has not been a productive player in fucking 4 years, like 3.5, 4 years. So I keep looking at him like this is 2015 Cespedes, and it's not. But still, McNeil, Rosario, Alonso, Conforto, Nimmo, dude. I don't know why Nimmo doesn't get more credit. There was like MVP talk a couple years ago. And JD Davis, who his numbers last year were phenomenal. And it's like they just cannot put it together, especially when DeGrom's on the mound. So mind-blowing. Yeah, I mean, that 6-5 loss was just heartbreaking. Lugo giving up the home run. Wilson giving up 3. People are saying he was overworked. Lugo back-to-back days. You know, it's like we have Familia and Betances. You have Betances ready to go. Why are you putting in Wilson? I don't know. Edwin Diaz has to be done now. He has to be done. Matt's had another solid outing tonight. Thursday night. And we just can't manufacture runs. Can't do it. And then we're only down 3-2. And then Diaz comes in the ninth and the bases are loaded and he hits a guy to bring in a run. Like, figure it out, dude. What the fuck happened to you? The Mets starting pitchers through 2 games, 11 innings pitched, 1 run, 3 hits, 2 walks, 15 Ks, 2 no decisions. That's DeGrom and Mets. So if this is the Mets we're going to get, hell yeah, dude. I'm all about it. Also, how about DeGrom hitting 101 on the fucking gun? Fastest pitch of his career. And I watched that pitch and it was like, whoa, whoa. So effortless. And I don't know how you hit that. And yet these guys, these batters are still fouling off pitches. Remember when you watched Major League with Wild Thing Ricky Vaughn and he goes up against that big bad dude from the Yankees, a fat dude with a goatee, and he's hitting like 98, 99, and then he ends up hitting up 100, and the dude couldn't even touch it. Couldn't even like put some wind on it. And now like DeGrom's hitting 100 and 101, and these dudes are just like fouling it off, foul off, foul off. But then you see someone like Kyle Hendricks who like barely cracked 89, like flawless victory. Amazing. It gives me hope for a comeback. I'm coming back. So I forget who tweeted this, but David Peterson's velocity plays, quote unquote, plays up because of his elite extension. He's 6'6", lefty who releases pitches at an average of 7 foot 1 inch in front of the rubber, which is tied for 19th among 447 players. So his perceived velocity hits 96, even though he was probably clocking around 93. He averaged 92.3 miles per hour in his sinker. DeGrom, his changeup was like 90 something. That blows my mind. These dudes are throwing circle changeups like double digits faster than I can throw a fastball, or that I could throw a fastball at my peak. I thought this was kind of interesting. Mets all-time home run leaders. I feel like the top of this list, the top 5 to 6 of this list makes sense. It's like, yeah, I rattled it off and you're like, yeah, that okay. Sounds about right. Straw with 252, Wright with 242, Piazza 229, Hojo 192, Kingman 154, Beltran 149. Here's where it gets a little funky. Lucas Duda at number 7 with 125. A little bit of an eye-opener. Todd Hundley at 124. I mean, he had 41 in a season. Kevin McReynolds at 122. Edgardo Alfonso at 120. Ed Kranepool 118. Michael Conforto 110. I mean, I really hope Conforto, they managed to strike a deal with him and he sticks around to at least surpass Duda. I mean, I'm a big Duda guy. I love Lucas Duda, but Conforto has the opportunity to be. A lot of people think he might be the next David Ray. I don't know about that, but I would like to see him be a lifetime Met and threaten Beltran for that number 6 spot. You want to talk about home run numbers? Cespedes hit his 30th home run at Citi Field. I don't know if this was, I think this was the first home run he had, not the second, but that tied him for 6th most home runs hit at Citi Field by a Met. And I'm going to say these 2 names, and I don't think you're going to believe me, but I take it for fact because the tweet, I got it from the tweeter who sent it out, who tweeted it. I see a pretty legit dude, so I don't see why he would lie. He's tied for 6th most home runs hit at Citi Field by a Met with Ike Davis and Asdrubal Cabrera. Does that strike anyone as just like, what? Considering I just rattled off like Lucas Duda and Michael Conforto. Like I rattled those two names off and they're not, I guess they're higher up. Yeah, they'd be higher up. But 6, Asdrubal Cabrera and Ike Davis. I mean, Ike had that one monster season where he hit 30 some odd. Well, yeah, I guess he hit 30 some odd home runs. That would make sense. But Asdrubal Cabrera, I didn't think he had it in him. 30 home runs at Citi Field? We only had him for like 2 years, right? 3 years? I don't know. Jed Lowry has been officially diagnosed with PCL laxity, which I didn't even bother looking this up because it just sounds ridiculous. And, Jed, at this point, I love you, man. I hope you get better. Whatever you got going on with your body, I hope it gets better because it's just comical at this point. Like, I've never heard of PCL laxity in my life, and my dad was a doctor. It's like the thoracic whatever syndrome that Matt Harvey had. Never heard of that before that happened. But yeah, I don't know. That doesn't sound good. I tweeted that PCL laxity sounds like a chill lacrosse cult in Cali. It's just like I don't know how to handle that. And with Eduardo Nunez going down, which I didn't even get to see. So I didn't even get to watch the end of the game on Saturday or Sunday. The Sunday game I just tuned out because they were getting blown out. But I guess Eduardo Nunez got hurt. And so they ended up I don't know. There's a lot of rules in baseball I don't get. They selected the contract of Brian Dozier, who apparently they signed during summer camp. Okay. And they designated Hunter Strickland for assignment. So curious move because it's like, how many fucking infielders do you want or need? JD Davis, Jeff McNeil, Rosario Cano, Jimenez, Dom Smith, Pete Alonso. I mean, your entire team is infielders at this point. It's so bizarre. And he started tonight. Okay. I didn't even know he was on the fucking team and he started. It's curious to me that you would insert a guy that you just signed at second base. Like, granted, okay, Dozier was from 2013, 2014 to 2017. Legit. I mean, he was an all-star, Golden Glover, MVP candidate, all those great things, putting up numbers like 20 to 30 plus home runs, upper 70, 80, 90s RBIs, and then went to the Dodgers and eventually the Nats from the Twins. And, has kind of faded in a lot of respects. He's 32, 33. What's going on here? I mean, Jimenez got his first Major League Baseball hit. First triple. I mean, he got picked off. So that happened. But like, first stolen base, promising young prospect in his early 20s. Wouldn't you rather give him playing time at second in a shortened season where it's like, this is just, everything's so like fouled up to begin with? Like, might as well just give him some time than Brian Dozier? I don't know. It seems odd to me that they would not only select him, but then insert him into the lineup. I guess he's pretty, he's got some pretty decent numbers against lefties, maybe. I don't know. I don't even know what he did tonight, but so odd that we, these older, like, we're just infested with older infielders who refuse to retire. Jed Lowry, Brian Dozier, Robinson Cano. Ugh. At some point, you just gotta move on. You know what I'm saying? So maybe Rojas has the balls, because I mean, they showed a graphic tonight where it's like Rojas has managed a lot of these younger guys in the minors. McNeil, Alonso, a few others. Jimenez, maybe. So it's like, I wonder how much leash he's going to give the older guys like Cano and Cespedes. I don't know. Cespedes is at like 80% right now, so it's kind of hard to tell if they could make a move. I was thinking, put Davis at third, put McNeil at second, Cano, DH, Cespedes left field. But it to me, it sounds like that's just Cespedes is not ready for that. Can't handle it. But eventually, I mean, you're hurting your ball club. Like if Smith is leading the team in RBIs, you got to reward him and start giving him some starts at DH. Maybe even put him at first and let Alonso DH since he's had some troubles here and there defensively. I mean, McNeil has been super struggling defensively. Let's see if I can find the stat. He committed his fourth error in 6 games. He only committed 1 error in 154 and a third innings at third base last season. So, he's out of position. And then people are saying that Alonso is being affected by his offensive woes, and that's carrying over into the field. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of experimenting in this first. I mean, I don't know. You got to find your groove quicker than later. You only got so many games. We now have 53 games left. So it's like, I guess try as many combos as you can, and just figure it out. Whatever's clicking, stick with it. Jimenez at second, Rosario. Where do you put Jimenez though? I don't know. At least Rojas has got some defensive measures. It seems like when he has the lead late, he's definitely going to more defensively sound players, which is nice to see. JD Davis is so funny though. Like what a ridiculous home run at Fenway off the pesky pole. Like that was just like a foul ball. It was just like he did not get any of it, any kind of meat on the bat. Didn't really connect with it, and that's like you just hear it crash off the pole. And it's like I guess that's a home run, and then him like diving back to first with the grunt. Ugh, the booth loved that. Gary, Ron, and Keith. So I guess we'll take a look ahead. You got you're in Atlanta tomorrow night. I don't know. I guess it's a loss. Who do we got going? Porcello. That's a loss. Braves again. In Atlanta. 4-game series in Atlanta. Ugh. We stink on Sundays. That's a loss. I mean, I'd be happy if we're coming out of that 2-2. Maybe you got what? Porcello, then Waka, Peterson, and I guess on Monday you would have DeGrom again. So I'd take 2-2. Love 3-1. Markakis is coming back. What the fuck? And then we have the Nats for 2 in Washington, which I guess they're clicking on all cylinders. And then there's the Marlins. Like I don't even know. I mean, I guess the pause will come unpaused on Sunday. But what if it isn't? I would hate to be like the schedule maker right now. There's so much shifting going on. But yeah, it's the Mets. Let's go, Mets go. But Jesus Christ, wake up the bats. Find out the secret combination because we don't got much time. All right, let's talk about the NFL and the Giants. Of course, like the day that I released my last pod episode, the Redskins changed their name to the Washington Football Team on the same day that the Seattle hockey team, the new NHL hockey team in Seattle came out with their name, the Seattle Kraken, which is fucking electric. Such a good name. The uniform is dope. The logo is awesome. I almost want to like call them my new favorite team. But then I was like, I guess stay true to the Devils. But hey, My West Coast team, definitely the Kraken for show. But then the Redskins came out with like, hey, we're going to be called the Washington football team. People are like, they're going to go the Alabama route and just put the player's number on the helmet, which is not a bad look. Although the W, I kind of wish they went with the new W that they have for Washington. Put the W on one side and then put the number on the other. I don't know. Something to think about. But the unis look like Alabama, so I bet Landon Collins is happy with that. Mike Garofalo tweeted about the proposed face shields that have been developed with Oakley to prevent the spread of COVID. They will be recommended but not required for players. You can't see this, and maybe, I don't know, put it in the old vid after, if I have a chance to edit it, which I won't. But interesting drawings and look. It doesn't look like it would go over pretty much the face mask. It wouldn't go over where the eyes are. So I don't know how effective this is, but I don't know. It's got like a Bane type vibe to it. Not necessarily Darth Vader. Interesting hole. The whole structure. Okay, but let's talk Giants. Lots has happened in the world of the Big Blue. They released Aldrick Rosas. Dude was allegedly going 100 while drunk in Cali and sideswiped, hit a truck. I think the guy in the truck survived. I hope he did. And I think there's 3 misdemeanor charges or something like that. I'm not going to say like good riddance, but I mean, he was a pain in my urethra in 2017. He was unbelievable in 2018, and then he stunk again in 2019. So we got 1 good year out of him, out of the 3. He wrote a very nice message after he was released and showed his gratitude and appreciation, which was nice. But it's like, dude, what happened? And this goes back to like every time I talked about Rosas last year. It's like it feels like there's something mentally or psychologically not right with him. That there's some other issue off the field that's causing him to cause him to not focus or something. I don't know. It just always felt like there was something going on that affected his play on the field, because it certainly wasn't his physicality. A very physically fit dude, big, powerful, strong leg. It just was like a mental thing, and there's something else affecting him off the field that he's bringing onto the field that just won't allow him to hone in. So, bon voyage, adios, Aldrick Rosas, no mas Rosas, as a Barstool commenter pointed out. And they ended up signing Chandler Canizero, I think that's how you pronounce it, who missed like 3 extra points against us in a preseason game. So looking forward to that. Of course, everyone thought that Steve Gostkowski was going to be the replacement because of his connection with Joe Judge. And I was like, yeah, easy peasy. Let's do it. Sign him. And then we go with Chandler. It's like, what are we not knowing about Gostkowski? Seems like such a slam dunk move. What's going on with him? It must be the injury he had must be more severe or serious than he's letting on. So we don't have to worry about Rosas anymore, but now we got Canizaro, which I'm not exactly lighting fireworks for. DeAndre Baker is also on the commissioner's exempt list, which doesn't sound good. I had to look it up. The exempt list is a special player status available for clubs only in unusual circumstances. The list includes those players who have been declared by the commissioner to be temporarily exempt from counting with the active list limit. Only the commissioner has the authority to place a player on the exempt list. Clubs have no such authority or no exemption, regardless of circumstances. I'm continuing to deem suggestions should be lifted, the players return the active list. So he basically can't participate in anything. So It seems like his time with the Giants is over, which would basically put him down as I would have to say he's the uh, biggest bust in Giants history. You think about what we gave up for him, trading back into the first round to get him, giving up those picks, not getting much out of him in this first season, and then he only gave us one season, and it was a shitty season. We had to we had to rotate him with other players. And so Jesus Christ, DeAndre Baker. What the actual F? Man, that hurts. Say what you will about like Eric Flowers. At least he gave us a few seasons, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, where we thought he could be the guy. We gave him plenty of opportunities. I mean, I'm sure we probably could have moved him into guard where he was with Washington, and he did better. But Eli Apple, I would say, we got, 1 year out of him? 2 years? 1.5 years out of him? But we didn't have to trade up for him. So, yeah, I would put Baker as like the number one bust. Although I'm sure there are plenty of other players that we drafted high that didn't pan out, but we didn't give up a ton for them. Oh, boy. Nate Solder opted out of the 2020 season. Understandably so. I mean, I'm not going to knock players for opting out of the season. Dude has a family. He has a child who's immunodeficient, I guess is the way you could put it. I didn't even know that Solder had cancer at one point. I think I read that. He had cancer at one point. So it's like, yeah, dude, you got to look out for your family and your safety first. So I have no qualms about it. And he, I don't know who reported this, but he qualifies for the high risk opt out, which means he gets $350,000 for this season, which is just an advance off his 2021 salary. So he still has, he was scheduled to make $6.5 million in 2020, and he still has 2 years left on his contract. So originally it was supposed to be this year and next year, and then 2022 we're free and clear of Nate the Great. People are saying now, though, we can use that extra salary cap to make a move for someone like Jadeveon Clowney. I don't see that happening. I mean, it would be nice, but I don't see it happening. Yeah. But from what I'm reading, it seems like the salary cap is going to lower substantially for 2021. So we're almost better off like not making a move and saving it for next year. Although, I mean, would it hurt to just dangle the carrot to Logan Ryan? Would it hurt? I mean, I understand pass rush is a huge issue, but you don't know what you're going to get with Fackrell. The combination of Fackrell and Zimenez and Golden, potentially Zoe, I don't know. You just don't know what you're going to get with that combo. So would you rather overspend on Clowney for a year, or would you rather pick up Logan Ryan for a year? I don't know. I'd go with Ryan, safer bet. So what does that mean for our offensive line? I think most people agree that Andrew Thomas will slot in at left tackle. And then you have a battle royale between Kim Fleming, Matt Parrott, and Nick Gates at right tackle. I don't know. Nick Gates, people are saying he would be slotted in at center, but now it's like he's competing for right tackle. I can't imagine what that's doing to his psyche. I mean, I don't know the guy, but Jesus. Okay, so I got to study and prepare to be a center or a right tackle. I mean, the organization is high on him, and he's done pretty well, all things considered. Undrafted free agent, but I don't know. Would love to see Matt Parrott like develop way faster. I mean, people are calling him developmental and saying he's like 2 or 3 years away. So like to put him in at right tackle and have him start. I'd much rather see, you know, I have a feeling they're gonna give the nod to Cam Fleming with Parrott backing up or with Gates backing up. And then center is still a goddamn black hole. But I think Shane Lemieux can plug it. Hey, you. All right, let's talk about these PFF rankings. So I've been doing it week over week. Last week we did linebackers, D-line, and wide receivers. Week before that, I think we did. We just did best and worst case scenario. So we're kind of going through the positions for Pro Football Focus rankings. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, folks. The secondary rankings, we're not doing well. Our defense, PFF does not think highly of our defense. But like I said towards the end of last episode, continue to underestimate us, continue to think that we're bottom of the barrel, and we're gonna surprise you. I mean, like I said, our defense tends to operate at a fairly nice level for like 3/4 of the game. It's just like the one quarter where they just completely shit the bed. Anyway, we're ranked 27. So James Bradbury. James Bradbury. He's kind of our marquee. Baker is not going to factor into things. A lot of people thinking that Sam Beal is going to be the starting corner opposite of Bradbury. I would think that Darnay Holmes is probably the favorite as the slot corner. I also think that, there was a poll that came out from one of the Giants accounts I follow, who's going to have the most interceptions. I think it's going to be Darnay Holmes because I don't think a lot of teams are catching on to what happened with him in college. The fact that he had the injury last year, and when he was healthy the year before, he was like an elite corner, top of his game. And then I guess you would have Ballantyne compete with Beal on the outside, and then Chris Williamson, the gopher, will back up Darnay Holmes in the slot. They also mentioned Montre Hartage, but I don't see him making waves. Grant Haley was our slot corner in 2019. And he was opposing passers had a rating of 114.2 when he was targeted. Bethea's gone, obviously. Julian Love will compete for the free safety. So Julian Love is another big question mark. Do you put him at safety or corner? I think Xavier McKinney is the clear heads upon, what is that fucking expression? Head over heels? Nah. You know what I'm saying. Clear favorite to be the starter opposite Jabril Peppers. Of course, people are comparing McKinney to Isaiah Simmons, which is always nice. They're saying so they're lumping Love in with the safeties, and I honestly think that he has a chance to play corner. So whether it's, do you put Darnay Holmes? Maybe you say to Darnay Holmes, "Hey, we're going to give you a shot on the outside," and then you put Julian Love on the slot. Do you put Julian Love outside and put Holmes in the slot? The legend of Sam Beal continues to grow and grow and grow. We've been hearing about this dude for so long, and he got some playing time last year, and he didn't really split time with Baker, and people think that Beal is going to be the guy. But Holmes is the name. And maybe I just got too hyped by that friggin' video that came out with him and Jabril Peppers. But I have a lot of faith in Holmes. I think Holmes is going to be open some eyes and be a starter. And I think Julian Love, you have to get him on the field in some way. So I don't think he's going to lose snaps or lose time this year. Grant Haley is the odd man out, in my opinion, unfortunately. Unless they decide that Haley is going to be like the run stopping in run situations, you put him in the game in the secondary. I could see that happening maybe. Right below us in the secondary rankings is the Washington football team. Quentin Dunbar, who's their top corner, went to Seattle, and I guess I would assume he's got to be on the exempt list as well because I think he's the dude with DeAndre Baker, if I'm right. So they lose Dunbar. They got Collins. Pro Football Focus said that he's yet to recapture that form that made him a Defensive Player of the Year candidate with the Giants, but he is at worst a solid starter. He didn't do a whole lot against us, I don't think. They also picked up Ronald Darby from the Eagles and Kendall Fuller from the Chiefs, which are names that I recognize, but I don't think they're going to make a huge impact there. So we have the opportunity to match up well with them in the passing game if we can protect this house. Number 22 is the Cowboys. At safety, they have Xavier Woods with possibly HaHa Clinton-Dix or Darian Thompson. There's a name that should ring a bell. I always thought HaHa Clinton-Dix was far and away a better player than Darian Thompson, but I don't know. Obviously, they lost Byron Jones. So that's another team that we should have some success against in the passing through the air. And then number 12 is the Eagles, which I think is just much like their wide receivers. And this is where PFF gets a little funky and weird. It's like you were just saying in our best and worst case scenarios, you were just saying that the secondary and the wide receivers are like wild cards that you're not sure what you're getting, but you're ranking them higher than us, much higher than other teams at the wide receiver and secondary position. So like, yeah, you picked up Darius Slay, but is he the same Darius Slay that he was in his prime? Probably not. Then they rattle off a bunch of names I don't know. And then they have Nickel Roby Coleman in the slot who they got from the Rams, and Jalen Mills will move to safety. So Slay, Coleman, Mills, you just have to figure out that other corner position. But I mean, Eli Manning came back and lit him up last year. I think they're susceptible, so 12 seems awfully high, dude. What about backfield? Running backs, the running back units. How do we rank there? This is like the only group that is ranked highly. We're at number 10. So obviously most of that is due to Saquon Barkley. But they do mention that Dion Lewis is coming off a 59.8 overall grade with the Titans, which is a career low mark. Not great. And then we also have Wayne Gallman, who's in the last year of his contract. So who knows how he performs, knowing that he could have a big payday if he plays well. What I'm not loving about our setup here is like Barkley, Lewis, Gallman. Barkley has been criticized repeatedly for his pass blocking abilities. Like, who is the pass blocker in this mix? Is it Gallman? Is it Lewis? How are we using Gallman? Like Lewis, I guess, is a change of pace back who's mostly a pass catching back. But I mean, Barkley's a pretty good pass catching back as well, as is Gallman. So I don't know. I keep thinking back to like Thunder and Lightning and Earth, Wind and Fire and like units like that where it's like, okay, Brandon Jacobs is the Punisher and Derek Ward is kind of has a little bit of speed and power, and the same with Bradshaw is hard to tackle because he's smaller and he's more elusive and whatnot. How does this unit gel and come together, and like how do you use them in certain spots and different spots? The article did not mention Elijah Penny, who is like, I know I've said this before, but he's like one of my favorite Giants running backs. I feel like they did not use him correctly under Shermer, and I hope that Garrett is able to utilize him more this season. Of course, we also have John Hilliman and Javon Leake on the roster. Hilliman's a Rutgers product. I think he's year 2. He had that devastating fumble against the Patriots that swung the game, the momentum. And then Javon Leake is an undrafted free agent from Maryland who I've heard good things. I don't know. What really sours my puss is that the Colts are ranked above us. Who are the fucking Colts running backs? Marlon Mack and Naheem Hines? I don't know. They're really a top 10 unit? We'll see about that. Number 26 is the Washington football team, which seems, I got to give them credit, it seems a little low. Adrian Peterson, Darius Geis, Bryce Love, J.D. McKissick, and Peyton Barber. You could do worse. Number 20 is the Eagles, which I also think is low. Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and Corey Clement, all of which have burned us on multiple occasions. So Miles Sanders is a pretty dynamic player. Boston Scott shows he has some move, and Corey Clement still has got something in the tank. So very weird that they're ranked 20th. And then number 3 is the Cowboys because of Ezekiel Elliott, which go F your Y, dude. Why? Like what? Tony Pollard and Elliott, like those are the 2 guys that are going to put you at number 3. The only reason Elliott's any good is because he has the best offensive line in the fucking game. You put him behind the Giants offensive line and he's not doing what Barkley does. So get out of here with that nonsense. Cowboys running backs don't deserve to be number 3. Elliott will be donezo before Barkley. There, I said it. Backup quarterbacks. PFF ranked them. This is like, I don't know. They were just searching for content at this point, but Giants were ranked 18th. Our backups are Colt McCoy, Cooper Rush, Alex Tanney, Case Cookus. McCoy seems destined to stick around the NFL until he's good and ready to retire. 10-year veteran, hasn't won a start since 2014. He's the type of solid enough quarterback with an A-plus name to continue rack up checks to deep into his 30s. Yeah, we'll have to see about McCoy if Jones goes down. I'm not worried with him, taking snaps. I would be a lot more worried if Alex Tanney had to go in. Although people underestimate Alex Tanney as well. Trick shot quarterback, my man. Washington football team is 20th. They have Kyle Allen and Steven Montez. I remember reading reports that Kyle Allen was like the hidden gem in the draft, and he was going to be like surprise so many people. It's like, what are you doing now, dude? Eagles are at number 10 with Jalen Hurts, Nate Sudfeld, and Kyle Lauletta. And then the Cowboys are at 3 with Andy Dalton, which makes, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, should be a starter, but he's not. Now, PFF also ranked the starting quarterbacks, but they didn't do it by number. They did it by tiers, which is such a cop-out. So they have 4 tiers. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4. Tier 1 is 2 dudes, okay? And they classify Tier 1 as high-end quarterbacks who can carry a team. High percentage of positively graded plays, limit negatively graded throws, most likely to achieve high-end passing production, no matter supporting cast. 2 dudes, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson. Which I wholeheartedly agree with. Although, you can't discount Tyreek Hill when talking about, and you're kind of discounting the effect that Hill has along with the tight end that they have. Jesus Christ, how do I not remember him? Wow, that's sad. The tight end, he's really good. So, it's not like Russell Wilson I could understand more because he hasn't really had the weapons that Mahomes has had, I think. So, interesting that they would put Mahomes in that tier. Tier 2 are quarterbacks who are more likely to elevate the teammates and achieve top-end production even with lesser supporting casts. Good chance to rank among the top 8 with or even finish as the top signal caller in any given year. And this group includes 6 QBs. That's Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and Aaron Rodgers. How you put Matt Ryan in this category is interesting. Super interesting. And did they not put Matt Stafford in this tier? I guess they didn't. I didn't include all the names in tier 3 or tier 4. But tier 3 is volatile or conservative quarterbacks who will rely even more heavily on supporting cast and play calling, can post top 10 production in any given year in the right situation. And this is where Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz sit, which, that's pretty spot on. So I'm not going to disagree with that. They had Joe motherfucking Burrow in this tier. Dude hasn't taken a snap in an NFL game. And this dude is in tier 3? We'll see about that. I mean, yeah, the Bengals did a hell of a job getting them some weapons in the draft, but really? Okay. And then tier 4, bottom tier. These are quarterbacks with more question marks, either due to lack of experience or seeing them perform at a high level in the NFL, or due to volatility when given extended opportunities to play. And this is where Daniel Jones is, which I can see how you can say he was tier 4. Based on that description, I can see why they put him in this tier. Based on last year, just strictly on the turnovers, inability to get rid of the ball and not take sacks. Okay. But in this tier, you have Ryan Fitzpatrick, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen. Guys that I just know Daniel Jones is better than Dwayne Haskins. Tier 3 had Baker Mayfield. Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. Boom. Said it. So I think you're going to see Jones come out and have, I was almost going to say MVP year, but he'll have a better year than Baker Mayfield. I know that much. So those are the PFF rankings for quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks, running backs in the secondary. Yet again, we're being underrated and underestimated, and I like being the underdog because the only way to go is up. So I think the Mets make the playoffs. I think, it's hard to just base an entire season off 1 week of action seeing that, but plenty of opportunities. They're in a good place to win. They're in opportunities to win. They're putting themselves in a place to win most of these games. These are winnable games, but it comes down to 1 or 2 plays, a closer, not getting a call, etc. So I'm not panic city with the Mets yet. With the Giants, would have been nice to have a normal training camp with a lot of new players. You got young players who need time to gel and whatnot, but we're gonna see them come together live in real time week 1. So we'll probably have a better sense of what the Giants are in week 5, I'd say. And hopefully we're not 0-4 by that time. So that's the show. I will see or feel or hear or taste you guys next week. Adios, muchachos.